Hey guys, I am so excited to be hosting the training for you today. I have gone through so many groups like this in the past, and I have just gained so much from all of them. So to be able to host it for you is really, really exciting for me. I hope that you'll get some nuggets that you can take away to help move your businesses forward. For all of those that don't know me, my name is Shayna. I am a one-star diamond coach, and I've been coaching for just over a year now. I started in September of last year. I am the founder of Team Goal Crushers, and I have a 21-month-old, almost 21-month-old son named Ryan. He's a little tornado, and he is my reason for becoming a coach. I always like to share this little snippet of my story, especially in a group like this, because I feel like it can be really helpful. I was that person who signed up in a challenge group without a challenge pack. I borrowed T25 from a friend. I did not think that Shakeology was for me. It was too expensive, and I didn't want to drink a shake. And my coach, who is Andy Worsham, graciously let me into her group. And for 5 months, I fell in love with it. I just loved being in the challenge group. I loved doing T25. So when she invited me to the coaching opportunity, it came at the perfect time for me. I was ready to give it a try. I didn't want to go back to work, so I dove in head first. I know in groups like this, it can be a little frustrating, especially when you're pushing for that deadline. So we've all got that November 18th deadline for us to hit diamond, to be invited to the leadership retreat. And I know it can be a little discouraging when people say, oh, no, not right now. But I'm just here to tell you, don't write them off, because you never know. Those people could end up being your coaches come December, January, February. Help them. Stay connected with them, and you never know who's going to end up becoming one of your awesome coaches on your team. So I am going to go ahead and dive in. I'm going to talk about goal setting and time management, and I've made some slides, so I'm going to attempt to screen share. So bear with me for a second while I try and figure this all out. Okay, let's hide me so you don't have to look at me the whole time. Okay, so let's dive right on in. So the topic I've got is goal setting and time management. Obviously, with my team name being Team Goal Crushers, goal setting is really important to me, and I really like it. I enjoy doing it. The first thing I want to talk about is why set goals. What is the importance of setting a goal? I like to use the analogy of goal setting being like taking a road trip to California. So you wouldn't set out on the road to California without having some kind of plan, especially if you've never been to California or you've never taken a road trip before. You'd want to make sure that you packed for the trip, that you have gas in your car, that you know where in California you want to go, that you have some kind of directions on how to get there, that you know how to drive. I know that sounds basic, but you want to make sure that you know all these things. You need them in order to have a good road trip, in order to reach your destination. You may still get there if you don't have all those things, but if you do, you'll probably have spent twice as much time just driving around aimlessly to get there. That's where goal setting comes in. It gives you the tools to get where you want to be in the shortest amount of time possible. So setting goals will help you to plan what you need to do in order to get the results that you want. So think of it like you've got your challengers and your challenge groups, and you tell them to plan their week of workouts, to clean out their cupboards, to write out a meal plan, to prep their food. You're helping them take those steps towards reaching their goals. And you need to know what steps you need to take in order to reach your goals, which is where goal setting comes in handy. So I'm sure you've all heard this before, that a goal without a plan is just a wish. I'm pretty sure you aren't all wishing and hoping to be diamond by the 18th, but that you are going to be diamond by November 18th. And in order to do that, you've got to set some goals. So how do you do that? You want to make sure that your goals are SMART goals. If you're on my team, you've seen this plenty of times. I love this. I think it's important. I make sure for all of my goals that I can check off every single one of these things. So first, you want to start with having a specific goal. What is your goal? Don't just say, oh, I want to move my business forward. That's not specific enough. You want to be a diamond Beachbody coach. Be as detailed as possible about that. You want to make sure that your goal is measurable. Will you know if you hit your goal? Yes, you'll know if you hit diamond. You'll know that if you don't hit diamond, you haven't reached your goal. So this is how you'll be able to track your progress. Make sure that your goal is attainable. Can you reach your goal? Yes, every single person in this group is more than capable of reaching diamond. It's going to set yourself up for success. For example, if you were to say, I want to be a 15-star diamond coach by November 18th, is it likely that you'll hit that? No, probably not. That's not enough time to do that. So you're setting yourself up for failure. I do want to say, you want to dream big. You don't have to set small goals just so you're sure that you'll hit them, but you want to make sure that it is something that is actually realistic. Then R is for relevant. You want to make sure that this is a goal that you actually want. And I know that this seems silly, but sometimes we get it in our head that diamond is where we need to be next, or star diamond, or whatever. If it's important to you, you're going to push for it. But if it's not important to you, you're not going to push for it. So you want to make sure that your goal is something that's relevant to you and to your why and to why you became a coach and where you want to take this business. And then the last one is you want to make sure that it's time-based. So you want to make sure that you have a deadline in order to reach that goal. Because if you don't have a deadline, one, you're not going to be able to measure it. It's not specific. You're not going to be able to tell whether or not you hit it. So you want to have that timeline and, again, be as detailed as possible on this. So, for example, for us, and for the examples I'll use in all of this, it's hitting diamond by November 18th. Time-based, you'll know if you hit it. So now that you know how to set the goals, how do you reverse engineer them to make sure that you get there? This is a graphic that I made for my coaches a while back, and it's about hitting emerald, so we'll obviously have to tweak it a little bit, but it gives you a good idea of how you need to reverse engineer your goal in order to sign 2 coaches. So for example, your goal in this group is to hit diamond by November 18th, which is 4 weeks away from today. So in order to do that, you need a total of 8 coaches, which means you need to sign 2 coaches a week. Obviously, some of you or most of you are probably at least already emerald, so you'll need a little bit less than that. But you know, I'd really like it if you push for 2 coaches a week, because the one thing is hitting diamond is great, but you want to hold diamond. You want to make sure that if you do sign a discount coach and they decide they don't want to drink Shakeology anymore, that you're still okay. You're still going to be able to hold your rank. So I would say keep shooting for signing 2 coaches a week until the end of this group. In order to do that, I heard somewhere that if you talk to 10 people about the coaching opportunity, on average, 1 person will say yes. So if you want to sign 2 coaches a week, you need to talk to 20 people in order to sign those 2 coaches a week. You need to also help 2 of your coaches to reach emerald. So you need to understand what emerald is, how to reach emerald quickly, and how to share that with your coaches so that they're able to duplicate what it is that you're doing so that you can reach your goals as well. So my little tips and tricks for goal setting: before setting a goal, think about why you're setting that goal, and then plan your goal with a purpose. The reason that I say this is it won't always be easy to reach your goals, and ensuring that you know why you have set that goal and the purpose of it will help you to push past those tough days. So make sure that you think about what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, so that you have that driven focus behind what it is that you're doing every day. Another thing that I really like to do is write out your goals weekly. I write out my goals every Sunday. That just happens to be the day that's good for me. I don't look at the goals that I've wrote down the week before. And my reasoning behind this is that if I'm writing out my goals from scratch every week, the goals that are truly important to me, that I really, really want to hit, are the goals that are going to be on that sheet every single week. So some of my goals may fall to the wayside. They may not be as important, but that's a good way for me personally to measure which goals are really important to me and which aren't. Another trick that I use is I reevaluate my goals and I track them daily. Every single day, I like to think to myself, okay, did I talk to those 4 people I needed to talk to today about the coaching opportunity? If so, yeah, that's great. If not, why didn't I talk to those people? Where is it that I'm struggling? How did your conversations go, for example? I look at my conversations and I think about the ones that went well and the ones that didn't go so well. How did I word those ones that went well? And how did I word those ones that didn't go well? So that I can reevaluate what it is I'm saying and tweak that. If what you're doing isn't working, that's fine. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that you can't do this. It just means that you need to find what works for you. So making sure that you reevaluate your goals every day is really important. Also, the other thing is sharing your goals publicly, and especially with your family. Sharing your goals publicly helps give you that accountability towards your goals. It's the same thing with your fitness and nutrition. When you're in these challenge groups, you've got that support, you've got that accountability to keep you moving towards that goal. It's the same thing with whatever it is that you're pushing for in your business. As well, speaking with your family about it is important. I know when I am pushing for something, I tend to let things at home go to the wayside a little bit, and I'll talk about that in just a few minutes when I get to time management. But you can't do everything. So you need to let your family know what your goals are so that if you're pushing for something big, they'll understand when other things aren't necessarily getting done right now so that you can spend more time pushing for your goal. And then the last thing that I really liked to do, it's actually the screensaver on my computer right now, is make a vision board. I know it sounds silly and like extra busy work, but having that vision board that I see every day that has my top goals on it really helps to remind me every single time I turn on the computer what it is that I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and what I'm pushing for. And it gives me that extra little dose of motivation before I get started in my day. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is time management. And this is something that I struggled with quite a bit when I started. The thing is in order to make time for something, and I tell all of my coaches this, but in order to make time for something, you have to take time away from something else. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. You can't. There are not enough hours in the day. Everybody has 24 of them, and you have to choose how you use those 24 hours. So you need to make sure that if you are going to be pushing for a goal like this, you're taking some other things off your plate so that you have the time to do that. So what are we working with? Every single person has 24 hours in a day, which is 365 days a year, so 8,760 hours a year. Okay, so we're going to be generous. We're going to minus out 8 hours of sleep. I'm sure most of us probably aren't getting that. So that would leave us with a little over 5,800 hours a year. We have 45 hours a week for working a full-time job, or if you're a stay-at-home parent, we'll give you 45 hours a week for that, which is going to leave you 3,500 hours a year that you can still use for whatever you want to use it for. That leaves 67 hours a week that is free to build your dreams, to make this business what you want it to be. That's 9 hours a day that you have to build this business. Now, obviously, you do have other things that you're doing with your time. I'm sure that you've got commutes, or you've got kids that need to be dropped off at practices. You've got keeping up with the housework and cooking dinner. Yes, there's tons of stuff that we all have to do. But think about it this way. You've got 9 hours in a day. So how are you using those 9 hours? Time goes really, really fast, but you are the one that controls where that time goes and what you spend your time doing. So where is your time going? You've got those 9 hours in a day. Where is it going? I know sometimes it's really hard to see this, and it's similar to keeping a food journal. Sometimes people don't realize what it is they're eating every day. It's the same thing with your time. Sometimes you don't realize what you're doing with your time every day. So you want to evaluate where that time is going. So first off, write it out. What hours do you have that you aren't doing anything? And then mark out time for your top priorities. Family, church, commute, sports, whatever it is that you have to do every day. Mark out time for that every day. Then track your time just like you would your workouts and food intake, so you know where you can make some changes, where you can fit more in, where you can take some things out, where you're using your time wisely and where you might be wasting some time. This is going to be a really easy way for you to see what you're doing with your time and where you may have some bad habits that you need to break. For example, I used to get up every morning, drink my cup of coffee, and watch a TV show. How much of a time waster is that? Watching a TV show. I could have been reading my personal development. I could have been checking my Facebook messages. There's tons of other things I could be doing, but that was my habit. I would get my coffee and I would sit down in front of the TV. So it'll let you see what habits you may not even realize that you have that you're doing. Make a to-do list. This is a great way to track your time. If some of you have gone through Chalene Johnson's Push Academy, this is one of the things that she really stresses. That little logo up at the top right corner is an Awesome Note logo. That's from an app that I use for my to-do list. But put the highest priority tasks at the top of your list, or star them or highlight them if you're doing this on a piece of paper, however you want to do your list. And then figure out what needs to be done today, what could be done this week, what could be done this month. It'll help you to evaluate where it is that you need to spend your time and where it is that you might not need to spend your time, where you could better utilize doing something else. And for the to-do list, one thing that I have found is play around with a couple different things. Use Awesome Note for a week and see if that works for you. Write everything down on a pad of paper and see if that works for you, because the last thing you want to do is spend more time writing your to-do list and wasting that time because it's not something you're utilizing, it's not something you're using. So make sure you find a system that works for you. And then at the end here, I just wanted to share some time wasters. I'm not saying to never do these things, and I'm sure there's plenty of other time wasters we could think about, but you do have to cut back on some things in order to make time for what's really important. So Facebook scrolling, I'm sure that most of us are probably guilty of doing that at least once or twice. It's really easy to do, check that little red notification at the top of your screen, and then you realize, oh my God, I just wasted 15 minutes scrolling through Facebook and I didn't get any work done yet. TV, Netflix, trashy magazines. I know I used to be really big on reading my People magazine every day. Pinterest, which I could get lost there for hours, I'm not gonna lie. Gossiping, there's all kinds of things that you're probably wasting your time with that you don't realize you're wasting your time with. So make sure that you're taking a look at those things so that you can track it and you can figure out where you can change in order to make time for this business. Okay, so how do you fit the business into your time? You need to first reflect on what it is that you need. Where do you need to grow? Do you need to work on building a team? I know that's going to be a goal for a lot of you guys right now because you need to grow your team. You need more coaches to hit your diamond goal. Do you need to work on advancing your coaches? So for example, you need to help your coaches get to Emerald. Do you know how to do that? Do you need to focus on your leadership, challenge groups, building relationships? Whatever it is that you need to focus on, pick 2 of those areas. You got to prioritize this and work on those 2 areas first. This is a really, really great way for you to figure out what personal development you might need. I know as my team grew, I focused a lot more on leadership books for my personal development. So don't just read a personal development book or listen to a podcast of something that you think, oh yeah, this could be okay. Figure out what it is that you need to do to grow, and then listen to something or read something that's going to help you with that. And then where are you spending too much time? Are you spending hours coming up with a post? I know I've been guilty of that before. Are you overanalyzing your messages to people or messages people are sending you? Are you catering too much to your coaches? This is a great way for you to figure out where you can cut back, where you might be able to delegate and get help from others. I know a lot of people do pay people to make their posts for them. I have not done that, but I have got to the point where I've realized, it doesn't really matter if my picture is perfect. You want to have an eye-catching picture, you want to have great wording, you want to share you and your story, but it doesn't have to be perfect. People don't relate to it, so don't spend 30 minutes coming up with a post. Just write out what you're feeling and post it. And then the most important task, which we all know, Becca shared with us this on the video Monday, is doing your power hour, or at a minimum, the power of 3s. I heard of this in one of the training groups I did, and I absolutely love it because we all have days where we are busy. And if you are super busy and you just don't have time to get everything done in the day, focus on your power of 3s and at least get this done before your head hits the pillow. I do not go to sleep until I have at least completed my power of 3s. So there's a little graphic here. You guys can save it, or I can post the actual graphic in the group that we're all in. But basically, it's just power of 3s. Request and friend request 3 people a day, message 3 people a day, invite 3 people to a challenge group a day, follow up with 3 people a day, and talk to 3 people about the coaching opportunity a day. Now this is like bare minimum if you've just had a really busy day and you can't get through everything on your power hour to-do list, but at least do these power of 3 things a day. And then last but not least, my little tips and tricks for time management. I'm definitely not perfect on this. I still struggle with a lot of these things too, but these are great things to keep in mind. The first thing is going to be checking your messages and only responding to those about the business. So only messages from your challengers, from potential customers, from your coaches. Don't look through all the messages that maybe your friends and family have sent you, because that could take a lot of time, but messages that are actually going to relate to the business. Leave the notifications alone. I was that person that the second I had that little red dot next to my notifications that said I had 1 or 2, would go straight to it and look through all my notifications. You're already checking into your challenge groups. You're already checking into your team page. You're already checking into your personal page. Leave the notifications alone. Don't go through them unless you actually have time to go through them, because once you click on it, you need to look through it all, because you're going to forget and you're going to lose track of who has sent you what, who's commented on what. So leave them alone until you actually have time for them, and just focus on what's really important, and that's those groups. Take a picture of everything and schedule or plan posts ahead of time. I heard this from one of the trainings I did, where she said, look at your life through the eyes of a coach. Take a picture of everything you're doing. If you are grocery shopping, take pictures of things. If you are at the park with your kid, take pictures of things, because down the road, you're going to need to think of a post, and you can look through all of your pictures in your camera and you can come up with something with one of those pictures that you've taken. As well, I like to auto schedule my posts for my page and for my groups. So when I start a new 30-day challenge group, for example, at the beginning of the month, I go onto Postcron and I schedule everything so that I don't have to think of those daily posts in the group anymore. They're already done for me. It's already something I don't need to spend time on every day. As well, I like to plan out some posts ahead of time. So Workout Wednesday posts, Thursday posts, and schedule those to my like page or my personal page, so that those things are already posted for me too, and I'm not having to come up with something when we're really busy throughout the week. Plan out your month ahead of time. This is something that I've just recently started doing, and it has saved me so much time, because not only do I know when I am running groups, but I know when I need to promote those groups, and then I can start to plan those promotions ahead of time, so that on a Sunday night at 6 o'clock with an hour to go, I'm not thinking, oh shoot, what group do I need to plan for? What post can I come up with? And I need a picture, and I didn't put makeup on today. Plan it out ahead of time so that you know when you need to post for what. Another thing is working from a script. I have a script for just about everything, for talking to people about the coaching opportunity, for talking to people about challenge groups. I have these, I post them in my team page so that my team can use them too. Make sure that whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that's working for you, you type it out, save it in a document, and let your team see what it is that you're doing. Share that with them so that you can be duplicable for them, and they can start doing those things too and seeing success. This is something I haven't tried, but I know that it's worked for a ton of coaches, so I always like to share it, and that's setting a timer when you're going through your power hour. When the timer goes off, move on to the next task, even if you're not completely done. So for example, if you get stuck in that going through all of your messages and messaging people back, and then you look down and you realize you've wasted your entire power hour just messaging people back and forth, you need to set a timer and be like, okay, I'm giving myself 20 minutes to answer messages right now. And when that timer goes off, I need to move to the next thing on my power hour list, so that I make sure that I at least get a little bit of everything done. Like I said, you're not going to be able to do everything all the time. So figure out what's important, set a timer for those things, and get to them. And then the last thing is, start with the things you don't want to do. One of the books that I read early on, it's just called Eat That Frog. And if you have not read it, it is a great, really quick read about time management. And basically the whole premise of it is, if you eat a frog first, you know that's probably going to be the worst thing that you have to do all day. So figure out what it is, the one thing that you don't necessarily love doing, but that you need to do in order to move your business forward, and do it first, so that you can't procrastinate, you can't worry about whether or not you've got enough time to get it done. It's done, you've done it, everything else will be downhill from there, and you're going to have a great day. So yeah, that is everything that I've got for you on goal setting and time management. I hope that some of that was helpful information. If you'd like me to share the slides, just let me know. I do have a couple of things that I would like you guys to do for homework. The one thing that I want you to do is go ahead in the comments below, share 5 goals that you have. They can be business related or not, but just your 5 top goals you can think of that you're pushing towards right now, so that we can help hold you accountable to those things. It can be small things. It can be making sure that I post 2 to 3 times a day on Facebook. Whatever it is that your goal is, just share those 5 below. The other thing I want you to do is spend one day this week and track what you spend your time doing. Don't change anything. Don't do anything differently. Do it just like you've always done it before, but take a little notebook around with you and write it down. So took you half an hour to drive to the grocery store, say 30 minutes driving grocery store. Takes you 20 minutes to grocery shop, 20 minutes grocery shopping. If you spend an hour watching a show at night, 1 hour, Scandal, love that show. But anyway, write down everything you do in an entire day and then look at it, highlight those things that might be time wasters, like watching TV, maybe you read a magazine, whatever it is, or things that you feel like you could probably cut out of your day so that you'll have more time to work your business and work towards these goals. And then share that with us as well. Take a picture of it, share it, and yeah, we'll all help each other to get better at this time management stuff. So I hope this helped, and yeah, we'll talk to you later. Everybody have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing a bunch of shiny diamonds in this group soon. All right, bye.